Okay, so I made another video about why matter could not be made by a supposed Big Bang, but now we will discuss what would happen if it actually had. The first reason being there is no way to unite the particles. As particles rush forward from the central explosion, they would keep getting farther and farther apart from one another. Outer space is frictionless, and there would be no way to slow the particles. The Big Bang is postulated on a totally empty space devoid of all matter, in which a single explosion fills it with outward flowing matter. There would be no way those particles could ever slow. Third, the particles would maintain the same vector or speed and direction forever. Assuming the particles are moving outward through totally empty space, there is no way they could change direction. They cannot get together and begin circling one another. Fourth, there is no way to slow the particles. They are traveling at supersonic speed, and every kilometer would separate them farther from one another. Fifth, there is no way to change the direction of even one particle. They would keep racing on forever, never slowing, never changing direction. There is no way to get the particles to form into atoms or cluster into gaseous clouds. Angular momentum or turning motion would be needed, and the loss of physics could not produce it. Sixth, how could their atomic structures originate? Atoms, even hydrogen and helium, have complex structures. There is no way that outward shooting particles continually separating farther from one another as they travel could arrange themselves into atomic structures. And now we will assume that contrary to physical laws, that one, these particles magically did manage to move toward one another, and second, that the particles could slow down and change directions. Um, the theory is that gradually the outward racing particles are said to have begun circling one another, forming atoms. These atoms then change direction further, this time toward one another, and form gas clouds, which then push together into stars. This aspect of the stellar evolutionary theory is as strange as the one that is as strange as that which preceded it. Gas molecules in outer space are widely separated. By gas, we mean atoms of hydrogen and/or helium, which are separated from one another. All gas in outer space has a density so rarefied that it is far less than the emptiest atmospheric vacuum pressure bottle in any laboratory in the world. Gas in outer space is rarer, less dense, atoms more separated than anything on Earth. Neither hydrogen nor helium in outer space would clump together. In fact, there is no gas on Earth that clumps together either. Gas pushes it apart, it does not push together. Separated atoms of hydrogen and/or helium would be even less likely to clump together in outer space. And now continuing, we will now assume that the outward moving, extremely fast, ever separating atoms shot out by the Big Bang explosion could slow, change direction, and form themselves into immense clouds. Because gas in outer space does not clump, the gas could not build enough mutual gravity to bring it together. And if it cannot clump together, it cannot form itself into stars. The idea of gas pushing itself together in outer space to form stars is more scienceless fiction. Fog, whether on space or on Earth or in space, cannot push itself into balls. Once together, a star maintains its gravity quite well, but there is no way for nature to produce one. Getting it together in the first place is the problem. Gas floating in a vacuum cannot form itself into stars. Once a star exists, it will absorb gas into it like gravitational attraction. But before the star exists, gas will not push itself together and form a star, or a planet, or anything else. Since both hydrogen and helium are gases, they are good at spreading out but not clumping together. Careful analysis has revealed that there is not enough matter in gas clouds to produce stars. Also, there would be not enough time for the gas to reach the currently known expanse of the universe, so it could form itself into stars. Evolutionists tell us that the Big Bang occurred 10 to 15 billion years ago, and stars were formed by 5 billion years later. They only allow about 2.5 billion years for it to come together into stars. Their dating problem has been caused by the discovery of supposedly faraway quasars, some of which are dated at 15 billion light years, since they have a redshift of 400%. That would make them 15 billion years old, which is too old to accommodate the theory. It does not take a nuclear scientist to figure out the math in this paragraph. Simple arithmetic will tell you there is not enough time. Gas clouds in outer space expand, they do not contract. Yet they would have to contract to form anything. Any one of these points alone is enough to eliminate the stellar evolutionary theory. If the Big Bang theory were true instead of a universe of stars, there would be only an outer rim of fast-moving matter. The outwardly flowing matter and/or gas clouds would keep moving outward without ever slowing down. In frictionless space, with no matter ahead of it to collide with, the supposed matter from the initial explosion would keep moving outward forever. This fact is as solid as the ones mentioned earlier. In order for the gas to produce stars, it would have to move in several directions. First, it would have to stop flowing outward. Then it would have to begin moving in circles. Stellar origin theories generally require rotating gas. Then the rotating gas would have to move closer together. But there would be nothing to induce these motions. Not mutations, but motions. The atoms from the supposed Big Bang should just keep rushing outward forever. Linear motion would have to mysteriously change to angular momentum. A quantity of gas moving in the same direction in frictionless space is too stable to do anything but keep moving forward. Gas in outer space, which was circling a common center, would fly apart, not condense together. There is not enough mass in the universe for the various theories of origin of matter in stars. The total mean density of the matter in the universe is about 100 times less than the amount required by the Big Bang theory. The universe has a low mean density. To put it another way, there is not enough matter in the universe. This missing mass problem is a major hurdle not only to Big Bang enthusiasts, but also to the expanding universe theorists. Okay, so a good resource would be P.V. Rizzo, Review of the Mysteries of the Universe, Sky and Telescope, published in August 1982, page 150. Astronomers are agreed on the existence of this problem. Hoyle, for example, says that without enough mass in the universe, it would not have been possible for gas to change into stars. F. Hoyle and T. Gold, in D.B. Larson, Universe in Motion, 1984, page 8, I quote, attempts to explain both the expansion of the universe and the condensation of galaxies must be largely contradictory so long as gravitation is the only force field under consideration. For the expansive kinetic energy of matter is adequate to give universal expansion against the gravitational field, it is adequate to prevent local condensation under gravity and vice versa. This is why, especially, the formation of galaxies is passed over with little comment in most systems of cosmology. Also, hydrogen gas in outer space is not clumped together. Harwood's research disproves the possibility that hydrogen gas in outer space clump together. This is a major breakthrough in disproving the Big Bang and related origin of matter in stars theories. The problem is twofold. First, the density of matter in interstellar space is too low. Second, there is nothing to attract the particles of matter in outer space to stick to one another. Think about it for a minute. Don't those facts make sense? This point is so important, for it devastates the origin of stars theory, that Harwood's research should be mentioned here in more detail. His research dealt with the mathematical likelihood that hydrogen atoms could stick together and form tiny grains of several atoms by the random sticking of interstellar atoms and molecules to a single nucleus as they pass by at a variable speed. Using the most favorable conditions and the maximum possible sticking ability for gas or other particles to clump together into a size of just 100,000th of a centimeter in radius would take about 3 billion years. Using more likely rates, 20 billion years would be required to produce one tiny grain of matter stuck together in outer space. As with nearly all scientists quoted in the book Evolution Disproved series, Harwood is not a creationist. M. Harwood, Astrophysical Concepts, 1973, page 394. Novotny's research findings are also important. Novotny, in a book published by Oxford University, discusses the problem of gaseous dispersion. It is a physical law that gas in a vacuum expands instead of contracts, therefore it cannot form itself into stars, planets, etc. That which cannot happen given any amount of time. Do you agree? If you agree, you are being scientific, for you are agreeing with scientific facts. If you disagree, you are fooling yourself. And this is it for this video. I just want to say something that the Bible doesn't prove scientific theories, it proves scientific facts. And that's what scientific theories are nothing but that, scientific theories. They are unprovable. But scientific facts, on the other hand, are provable. And the Bible proves scientific facts. I will be doing a video later, continuing this. And if you are listening to this, I hope you enjoyed it. I believe what the Bible says when it says God created the earth in 6 literal days and then rested on the 7th day. And anyone who believes otherwise should get right with God, because to believe in evolution or the Big Bang, and the Bible does not support it whatsoever, but actually teaches things to the contrary, is in heresy. But I hope you enjoyed this. Look out for the next